Again, 1-888-302-NACA. I also get a lot of calls and emails about Catherine Austin Fitz, who one of our listeners called a goddess and another one called an avatar. You don't hear that every day about a leading member of the global finance community, but I think Catherine Austin Fitz generally fits that description. Once again, she's having a lecture on August 29th in Mill Valley, and you can get information by going to her site, solari.com, solari.com, or by calling 888-686-3354. All right, so those are our housekeeping items. Mr. Slocum, the NACA, and Catherine Fitz. I'd like to move on to what the market has been doing. Market once again has been characterized as having bipolar disorder, up 200 points one day, down 200 points the next, up 100 points one day, down 100 points the next, up 300 points the following day, down 300 points the next. Nothing has really changed in that scenario in the last week. The good news is that the thing that seems to be driving the market up is the fact that the price of oil is down. Price of crude closed yesterday at $115.01, $115 a barrel. That's down from a high of about $146 a barrel earlier this year. Investors are looking for bargains, particularly in financial stocks. The bad news is that the Labor Department has reported that there's been a hefty jump in consumer prices. There's been a 0.8% overall rise in July's consumer price index, which is twice as high as the market expected, and it brings inflation to its highest pace in 17 years. The core index, which eliminates all food and energy prices, was not up as much, but it still rose by 0.3%, slightly more than the forecast.
And if you look at those indexes, those aren't always, they're good kind of a gauge. But if you look at, people just go to the grocery store and look at the prices of milk or the prices of eggs, and that's a real good indication of really what's going on, not necessarily these kind of global indexes, but what's happening at the pump or at the supermarket.
Exactly. Now, we can talk about that for a little while with Andy. So I'm going to I had done a little bit of preparation here for this segment of the show on the fact that living costs are rising fast at the same time that wages are trailing or even falling. So the cost of living is going up. Meanwhile, the average worker is getting paid something like 3% less in real terms. So maybe that's something we can talk to Andy about. One thing I did want to touch on is the new education bill, which was signed by the president yesterday. It's actually, I'm a big fan of Senator Edward Kennedy. I was very sad. I actually took the day off and prayed for him the day I found out he had brain cancer, which looks very serious. Back when I lived in Massachusetts, Ted Kennedy himself and his staffers were very helpful in the work I was doing in the AIDS epidemic and in creating affordable housing for people with AIDS. And he was one of the first to see that AIDS was not just a medical diagnosis, but also a financial crisis. It's definitely an issue that touches low-income people, and Ted Kennedy got it, and he got it quickly, and he was a big help. Ted Kennedy sponsored this new education bill. It's a landmark bill. I know that Mary, our director of programming here at the station, has got a child going off to college, and a lot of my friends do as well. You'll be happy to know that the Pell Grants have gone from $4,800 to $6,000 by 2009. And then by 2014, they'll go to $8,000. The other good news is that those Pell Grants can be used year-round instead of just for the fall and spring semesters. So basically, Pell Grants will be doubling over the next 4 years. So they'll be going from $4,800 to $6,000 in the next year, and then to $8,000 by 1014. The other good news is that in the housing bill is that there'll be a lot more transparency in student loans. There have been a lot of, how shall we say this, a lot of consumer fraud. Just as there has been in the mortgage industry, there's been a lot of consumer fraud with student loans. and the federal government is trying to root that out. Also, applying for financial aid will be a lot easier. Just as the IRS has the easy forms, applying for financial aid will be easier, as the FA-FSA application will be simplified into a 2-page FA-FSA easy application. So for those parents out there with children in college or about to go off to college, know that the new form is only 2 pages. It's called the FA-FSA easy form, and it'll be a lot easier to get financial aid, and also the Pell Grants will be going up to $6,000. All right, let's get our first guest on the phone. Andy Steckschneider is a former veteran of UBS, the United Bank of Switzerland. You can say a lot about UBS, both pro and con. One of the best things you can say about UBS is they've got a great trading program. Their private bankers and wealth managers are trained very well. Andy got a start at UBS, and he's now at Progressive Asset Management, which is a socially responsible investment firm. Andy, it's good to have you on the show.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Good. What would you like to talk about? Where do we start? One of the things that you and I talk about a lot, and I should mention to our listeners that Andy and I have known each other a while. One of the things that we've talked about is I wrote this article for the Bohemian about the pump and dump scheme, or what I